Welcome to Sunday Slow Flow. Today will be a shorter class and it'll be a little less of the slow flow and a little more of the restorative. For this class, you will need a bolster or a couple pillows and be near a wall. And if you don't have a nice open space on your wall, you could probably just set up at a chair or a couch or something like that instead. So you'll want to sit down. You might want to sit on your bolster or your pillows if you've got them. And settle into your seat. Sit up nice and tall. Close your eyes. Relax your face. Relax your shoulders. And just notice how you feel. Notice where your mind's at. Notice where your breath is at in the body. And just start to tune into your breath. Start to slow it down. Gain control of it. Nice, deep, easy breath. And using that breath, we're going to clear our mind. We're going to let go of any thoughts. Come into this moment, letting go of thoughts, but also letting go of tension. Coming into stillness, not just physically, but mentally as well. Maybe even more so. Let's count 5 more deep breaths. After that 5th breath, you can blink your eyes open and we'll begin with some seated cat-cow. So you'll inhale and rock yourself forward, look up, and exhale, round yourself back, tuck your chin, pull on those knees. Inhale, exhale. Feeling the stretch along the spine, but also when you come forward, feeling a big stretch in your hips too. We'll do one more round. Meet back with a neutral spine. We're going to take a side bend. So you bring your right hand down beside you. Inhale your left arm up. Really reach up, stretch, lift the rib cage away from the left hip, and then exhale over into your side bend. So you can stay just on the hand, or maybe you'd like to come down deeper onto the elbow and forearm. Try to keep the left hip down, left knee down. So just coming down to where you can still feel rooted into your seat and that left knee doesn't pop up too much. Keep your left shoulder back, chest lifted, chest open, so that you're creating a nice big stretch in the left side of the body, and you can just bring your gaze down to the ground so there's no tension in your neck. We'll give it a couple more breaths here. And then inhale, come back up. And exhale over to the other side. So left hand or elbow down, and we'll reach with the right arm. Roll that right shoulder back. So you want to have a sense of that right shoulder being stacked on top of the left. Keeping your right hip down, right knee down. Deep breathing. Two more. And we'll inhale, come back up. We're going to do a little bit of a hip opener here with fire log. So we'll start with our left shin down and our right shin stacked on top. You want to try to get your right ankle on top of the left knee, your right knee on top of the left foot, and those feet stay flexed to help here. So coming into this already, feeling it quite a bit in your hips. If you're having trouble with having that leg down, maybe you have your top leg supported with your pillow or bolster here. You could even have a support under that other knee as well if you needed it. But you want to just come into where you're feeling the stretch in your hips and you're breathing deeply and you're letting go of any tension or gripping that's happening in the hips. And we want to give it some nice deep breaths, letting go of that tension with each exhale. And then as you sort of warm up to the posture a bit, then maybe you'd like to hinge forward a little bit. Just listen to your body and what you need here. Don't go into it too deeply or too quickly. When we listen to our body whisper, we don't have to hear it scream. It's an important one to remember sometimes when we're in these long stretches. Take your time with it. Take your time getting into it. Take your time going deeper. If you do decide to come forward, you can use your hands for support. You could even have your pillow or bolster there to rest on. I should mention too, if it's just too intense having that leg stacked, you can also just come into a crisscross position where that right leg is in front. Checking in to make sure you don't have any tension in your neck or shoulders or your jaw, all those subtle areas of the body that we tend to hold stress. Continue to check in, making sure that you're relaxing as much as you can. And we'll give this another few breaths here. If you're leaning forward, make sure to slowly come up using your hands for support and very carefully unstack or uncross the legs. And we'll go the other way now. So we have our right leg under and our left leg over, keeping the feet flexed. Try to make sure that top ankle is supported with the bottom knee. Maybe notice some differences from what things felt like on the other side compared to what they feel like now on this side. And again, just taking your time settling into it and using any props that you might need if you need that top knee supported or even both knees supported, or maybe you're just crossing the legs and even supporting both knees there with the legs crossed. Find your way of settling into this and really taking your time to release tension, making sure you don't feel any pain in your knees. You're just feeling that stretch. It's a bit intense in the hips, in the pelvis, in the low back. Breathe into it. And then noticing if you feel yourself release a little deeper into it after a while. Maybe you'd like to hinge forward then, hands out in front of you. You could drop the head down, or maybe you're able to rest on a support. So either under your chest, or maybe you're able to come all the way down so that you can have your head supported on a block or a pillow or something in front of you. Slow the breath down. And if you've come further into the stretch leaning forward, you might have to check back in with your hips. Make sure you're relaxing, you're releasing, gripping. Might have to be a very conscious effort. Use your breath to relax you. Use those exhales to melt a little deeper. And we'll give it a few more deep breaths. When you're ready, use your hands to work yourself back up. Very carefully uncross your legs. You can send them straight out in front of you, and maybe you'd like to walk them a little bit there. And then we're going to come up for a camel flow, but if it ends up being too intense of a back bend this early on in class for you, then you're welcome to just come to hands and knees and do some cat-cow. So we're going to do 4 sets. So you could do cat-cow, 4 sets of cat-cow instead. So you would set up just like you would camel, where your knees are hip-width apart. And you're either going to start by reaching back with that right hand to the right heel, and you'll be reaching back with the left arm, big stretch, and coming around and reaching for the other side. If that's too much to come down for the foot, just have your hands on your low back, just like you would coming back into camel. So you would just have your right hand on the low back, reaching up and back with the left hand. And when you come forward, you can tuck to the chin, let the head hang, and you can come over to the other side. So we'll go ahead and get started. Inhaling, stretching and reaching. And then when you come forward, exhale, round yourself forward and tuck your chin. Inhale, stretch and look back. And keep moving with your breath here. Remember, we're doing 4. And if you start to feel a little dizzy, it's okay to forget the head movement and just keep the head in a little bit more of a neutral position rather than looking back and tucking the chin. Move slowly with your breath. So our last one. And then we're just going to come forward into child's pose. So sit back on your heels. Bring the knees out wide. Bring your chest down towards the ground, forehead on the mat. Reach the arms out nice and long. Stretching the whole spine. Sinking the hips low. And connecting with our breath. Notice that the heart rate might have gone up. Maybe you created some heat in the body. Slow the breath down. We'll take 2 more breaths. And then slowly sit back up. We're going to move against the wall now. So the best way to do that, to get yourself right up against the wall, is to sit sideways towards it with your hip and leg touching. And then you're going to lay back as you start to swing that upper leg over and come around. So you don't have to, but you might like having your bolster or pillow under your hips. So you could give that a try, lifting the hips up and sliding that under you. It'd be a nice release for your low back. If you have any low back issues, you might really want to make sure that you put something under for support. But it's just nice either way to have those hips up a little higher and supported with a little cush. So the first thing we're going to do is butterfly. You're going to bring your feet together and let the knees fall. And you decide how low you bring your feet down. So you can bring the feet down as low as you'd like. If you have the ankle flexibility to allow the feet to face you, the bottoms of the feet to face you, you're going to have a little more luck with your hips opening. It's the same action I tell you all the time when we're sitting up doing butterfly. I always tell you to open your feet up, that it'll release the hips a little bit more. So it's the same thing, but if your ankles aren't real flexible, then maybe your feet are more together here and your knees are a little closer to each other. But try to relax into it. So you want to let go of any gripping or tensing that might happen in those hip flexors, and just allow the legs to fall, allow the knees to fall. If you need to kind of keep your hands there on your knees for support, you can. If you don't need that, then just bring your arms to either side of you, palms up towards the ceiling, and melt your upper back down into the mat. Really relax into this. Deepen the breath. And as you relax into this and as you deepen the breath, you might notice that your feet start to slide a little further down the wall as you relax and open a little further into this. Take 5 more deep breaths. After your 5th breath, you can use your hands for support on your knees to bring your knees back towards one another. And we're going to bring the feet flat against the wall. And you might want to have them up kind of high to begin. We're going to take our right ankle, cross it over the left knee, and try to keep that right knee from coming back in towards you. You'll get a better stretch. So you might need to use your hand into that knee to adjust that. And then you can start sliding that left foot down the wall. And as you do that, it's going to push your right ankle towards you a little more. And as you're keeping that knee from coming in, you'll start to feel the stretch in your right hip. Similar to the fire log pose that we did at the beginning, you'll feel that in your IT band. And maybe you'll notice though that it's not quite as intense because it's already been stretched pretty good there in your right hip and in that glute. We'll take 3 more breaths. And then when you're ready, you'll switch. So you can bring the feet up a little higher again to transition over to the other side. Cross that left ankle over the right knee now, using your hand against that left knee. Then start sliding your right foot down as low as you'd like. Doesn't have to be very low. If you already start feeling it, but just stay. Three more breaths. After that third breath, you can uncross the legs. Bring them straight up just for a couple breaths here. Sort of reset the pelvis. If you need to scoot a little closer to the wall, if you've shifted some, you can. And then the next thing we do, we're going to bring our legs out wide as you're comfortable doing. You're going to try to relax and let gravity take your legs. So big stretch in the inner thighs here. Come down as low as you can, still relaxing as much as you can. And if it's okay to bring your arms to the side, then go ahead and do that. Again, one of those things where the more you stay here breathing deeply, you might notice your feet coming down a little closer to the ground. Count 5 more deep breaths. Slow it down, really slow it down. Try to make your exhales a little longer than your inhales. After your fifth breath, very carefully, maybe use your hands to assist you, bring your legs together, and we'll keep the legs up the wall here with legs together. Release your low back down to the mat or onto your pillow. Release your upper back down into the mat. Really melt yourself into it. Relax. Five breaths. After that fifth breath, if you've put a pillow under you, you'll want to bend your knees so feet are on the wall, lift your hips up, and remove that pillow. And then we're just going to bring our arms out to a T and drop the legs over to the right. You can keep looking up towards the ceiling, or if you'd like to take the twist into the cervical spine, look over your left shoulder. Three breaths. Then you'll bring it back, walk your feet back center, and then drop the legs over to the left side now. And if you needed to, you could put your pillow between the knees if that upper leg, if the hip is very stiff. And we'll look over the right shoulder if you did that option on the other side. Three breaths. And then bring your feet back center. You can just push yourself away from the wall to straighten yourself out, or I'm going to roll over and turn so that my head is towards the wall. But we're just coming down into Savasana here. And take your bolster or pillows and slide them under your knees for support. And then settle yourself down into it. Take up as much space as you'd like. Let your feet fall open. When our knees are supported, it releases some pressure from the low back here when you're laying down. So if you have low back problems, you should just always bring a bolster or pillow to place under your knees. It would be a lot more comfortable for you. Or even a rolled up towel so you have something long. Just go ahead and settle into this. You can let go of controlling the breath now and just let the breath be soft and easy. Soften the belly. Feel it rise on the inhales, and lower on the exhales. Relax your face and your jaw, your shoulders. Everything from your scalp all the way down to your fingertips and toes, relaxing fully and completely and staying here. Try to stay here for about 3 to 5 minutes. Namaste.